All right. Hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this webinar. My name is Mr. Nweke, and I will be your facilitator this morning. Today, we will be talking about getting back your hotel guests, right? Please just give me 1 second. All right, so today we'll be talking about getting back your hotel guests, and we are going to focus on new technologies and new ways to attract attention and to retain attention you get in the business of getting back your hotel guests. So thank you very much for connecting. I can see you guys on Facebook, on YouTube, on the Zoom meeting. Thank you for taking the time to connect. I can see Musket. Did I get the name correctly? Okay, I guess you're still trying to sort out your connection, but thank you for attending this webinar. All right, so I know everybody is very busy, so we are going to try and be as brief as possible so that you can get back to your day job and making money for your hotels. All right, so real quick, let's jump into the presentation so that we can be out of here in the shortest possible time. Okay. Sorry, my apologies. Just 1 second. All right. So once again, thank you for connecting. I'll be sharing my screen in a moment so that we can just run through the slides, and we'll be done. We should be done here in about an hour or thereabout, or even less. Every other thing else would be case studies. Okay. Yes. All right. So can you guys see my screen on YouTube? Okay. All right. That's fine. Musket, can you see my screen? All right. Good. Thank you very much. So you're welcome. Once again, my name is Mr. Nweke. I'm the director of Prime Royal Hospitality Limited. And for the past few years, my company has been focused on studying how to attract people to hotels, how to attract and retain hotel guests. And today we just thought to share, our experiences with you, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's dive right into the presentation and let's move forward. All right, so real quick, our agenda, what we are going to be looking at today is going to be very simple. We're just going to do a little bit of very brief introduction. We will talk about operational changes. The operational changes are probably what you already do in your hotel right now. It's nothing very serious. We would also talk about marketing opportunities, both what you had before and what you can get, especially from the pandemic. Then we'll dive into the technical stuff. The technical stuff is where the fun is. There's a lot to cover on the technical stuff. So we're not going to spend so much. We'll try to summarize it as much as possible, right? So that you would be able to finish today, right? But part of the sales funnel, what part of the technical stuff we'll look at just very briefly about sales funnels, touch points, action plans, and a couple of other things that you can do at your hotel in order to attract and retain guests. I love questions, so we'll take a couple of questions and discussions. Now, obviously, whatever we talk about here may not necessarily apply to all hotels. There are some hotels that it cannot apply to, right? There are some hotels where you need to also, after looking at everything, you need to review your own strategy and find what works and what does not work. For example, if your hotel is an airport hotel, or your hotel is a business hotel, it's quite different from where if your hotel is just a relaxation center, and your major revenue point is, say, things like swimming pool and parties and all that. So we're going to cover everything broadly. Then everybody will now look at what applies to your hotel. Then possibly we'll take a couple of discussions you get, and together collectively we'll look at how opportunities that your own unique hotel can explore. All right, so obviously, in terms of operational changes, one of the biggest advantages you would have during this pandemic period is an opportunity to renovate your hotel. Now, if your hotel has not taken advantage of this period to renovate, well, it's kind of getting late a little bit, because the Lagos State government has announced that hotels can now open, right? So you can probably still do a bit of renovation this period, but if you had wanted to do a major shutdown renovation, the lockdown was actually the best period to actually get that done. Many of our clients' hotels actually took full advantage of this, and they renovated their hotel from top to bottom. Some of those renovations that it's a little bit difficult for you to do, because you need to check when you have guests in the house. You need to now call them and lobby them and say, okay, please, we are going to do some renovation, and you get some noise. But this period is an absolutely fantastic opportunity to do your renovations. Now, so here's where it gets interesting. Your housekeeping routine will obviously change. Your SOP is obviously going to change. You are going to have to use a different housekeeping routine, right? Now, before now, most hotels would just do a very simple sweep the rooms, change the sheets, mop the room and all that. But now your routine is going to be a whole lot more than that. We're going to have to talk about things like disinfecting the rooms with hospital grade disinfectants, not just Dettol and bleach. Well, not just Dettol, but you may have to do a little bit of bleach, and you have to wipe down every single touchable surface. I'm talking about TV remotes, bed headers, tables, chairs, almost everything touchable. Your housekeepers have to wipe it down. Now, it may be a little bit expensive, obviously, but it's going to be even more expensive if you have one case of COVID-19 patient in your hotel. The situation can be so drastic that the government can even shut you down for probably around 14 days or more. So your housekeeping routine would obviously have to be a lot more different. Now, your front office routine will also change slightly. It depends on the design of your front office. I saw a couple of hotels that we work with outside the country. What they did is that they just built like a glass shield, right, that hung from the ceiling, but under, there's still space under for you to pass things like room keys. Now, whatever you decide to do, if you decide to give your staff maybe face shields or something, or you decide to build a whole large glass shield, just know that the moment, in fact, your front office surface, that's your front office surface, is one of the best places where transmission can take place. So apart from the fact that you're going to have to keep your surface as clean as possible, your desk as clean as possible, and wipe it down almost every time somebody comes to your front office and leave, you may have to rethink maybe the design of your front office, just minor changes here and there. You can just put a shield, and that would help to reduce transmission. Now, your restaurants would have to consider outdoor delivery. I know many of us before now were not considering outdoor delivery for restaurants, but we're going to talk about this a whole lot more when we get to market opportunities. But so your restaurant may have to focus more on room service, right? Encourage the guests more to stay in their rooms, and somebody will deliver it for their food to them. Even if you're going to have to drop the tray charge that you usually charge, that most hotels usually charge, if you have to drop the tray charge just to encourage them to stay in their rooms and take their meals, that might also work. It's now up to you to decide whether you still want to have dine-in restaurants. Now, if you decide to do dine-in restaurant, of course, you'd have to restructure the design of your tables, right? And you have to give space for more socially distant tables. So before, where you had tables clustered together, you may have to take out some tables and space them out very, very well. Now, again, of course, the waiters would have to maybe wear some kind of protection. You get maybe also a face covering or something like that, you know, just to as part of your health prevention strategies. Now, the bar will also have to encourage as much drink in your room service for your bar as well. The Lagos State government has not, even though they've not taken off the restriction for operating bars, I don't know whether restaurants are excluded, but just to be on the safe side, we can as well just encourage the guests to stick to dining bars, or I would personally recommend outdoor sit-outs, you know, with your drinks, with very, very socially distant table settings. Now, your gym is tricky because there's a lot of touch in your gym. Now, it's up to your hotel to weigh the pros and cons. Do you want to continue operating the gym? Is the revenue from the gym worth the likely risk, right? But if you do decide to operate your gym, you are going to have an extensive disinfecting protocol, right? Maybe anybody who is going to the gym, you can give him a hand sanitizer to wipe down everything as he's going, and your housekeepers will also do the same, wipe down as much as possible. I'm not worried about steam baths, because steam baths actually generates quite a bit of heat. The only thing I'm worried about in steam baths is just the door handles, right? But obviously the COVID-19 virus does not survive in high temperatures. So steam bath is pretty much, you know, close to being self-protecting, if there's anything like that. Okay. Your spa, it's also tricky to run your spa, but then again, we also look at it on a case-by-case basis. But what everybody suggests at this time is that anything that has to do with so much contact, so much, you know, touch, that you should try and, you know, avoid and stay away from those. Now, the halls is tricky because, again, events are not yet allowed in Lagos State, but somehow, if you have a large hall and you can afford to control the social distancing in your halls when events are taking place, for example, press conferences, right? Then maybe you can work around that. But obviously, if you are going to hold events in your halls, again, it's recommended that you advise the patrons to come in only with their face mask. You can probably put some security guys at the entrance, you know, to control number of persons coming and to ensure that they have their face mask and they have their hand sanitizers. Everybody in Nigeria knows about the COVID-19 pandemic. So I don't think there's anybody you would offer a hand sanitizer and a face mask that he would not understand exactly what you are trying to prevent. Now, marketing opportunities, this is where it starts getting interesting. One of the best things to do the day your hotel reopens is to send an email to as many of your guests as possible. But it gets tricky when sending an email. Sorry, before I dive in, do we have any, does anybody have any questions? Can we briefly take any questions just to be sure? Okay, Musket said no questions. Mr. Nestor, thank you for joining us. Madam Folake, thank you for joining us as well. Okay, I don't know if I should disable the chat. Okay, anyway, no problem. Let's move forward. All right, so emailing the guest is also, it's important, but we also need to be careful the way we handle emails to guests. Now, we need to avoid saying something like, "Dear Mr. John, thank you very much for staying with us last time. We wish to inform you that we have reopened for business," and all that. You get that kind of thing. Mr. John may not want his spouse to know that he spent a night at the at the hotel. So he may want to, we will have to find a way to respect these kinds of emails, is to be as anonymous as, shall I say anonymous, as maybe not as personalized as possible. So you can just have a message that says, I wish to inform you that we are reopen for business, and we've taken lots of protocols or lots of processes to ensure that the hotel is protected and is sanitized and all of that. And our cleaning routine has increased on a regular basis. So that's what the email does, emailing guests does. But many hotels do not collect the email addresses of their guests, which is quite a bit of a problem, because at this point, we'll now miss out the opportunity of sending out that message. Now, some of the best ways to collect emails, the email addresses of the guests, is when you have a very vibrant online booking system. You get, most times the guests send you their email, name and phone number, and then you can now send the reservation to the guests. But if we've missed that opportunity, well, it's one of those things. We need to move forward. Now, it's also advisable to have like a safety video, right? A small video, maybe the small video can be part of telling the public that you are reopened, but the emphasis of this video now will now be that, oh, we are open, but we now have a lot of extra cleaning process, right? Extra sanitary process. So we'll just speak to the guest a little bit about the new precautions we've taken, just to ensure the safety of the guest. Now, this can be like a walkthrough by the general manager, or a walkthrough by someone quite senior in the hotel is preferable, right? Because if it's just a reception who is doing the walkthrough, it doesn't really carry as much, should I say, weight or responsibility. Well, weight kind of is probably a good word. It doesn't really carry as much weight as when the general manager is actually doing the walkthrough. So someone as high up as possible, as senior as possible, right? It's a good idea to have that person do the walkthrough. It's okay. Just hold on one second. I hope you guys can see my slides. Okay. All right. Okay, good. So once we have that safety video, are we going to call it a safety video? Let's call it like a welcome back video. Once we have that welcome back video, it will be easier, for to do that video and put it out in the public. Now we can put it out on social media, email it to prospects, send it to company guests and all that. At this point, everybody will be trying to plan his next events, right? And some things like this safety video usually gives guests quite a bit of reassurance that your hotel is not taking safety on seriously. Now, your social media activity also is going to be very helpful. take a couple of pictures here, pictures there, short videos. You can even encourage in-house guests to do videos. Like one of the properties we work with, we encourage in-house guests to take pictures and videos and post them on social media. So when you tag and say, okay, this person checked into this hotel on this day, it creates the discussion and the buzz around, oh, these guys are back and open for business and all that. And even though, well, okay, we'll get to that. And your OTAs will, obviously, we're going to update the OTAs. Now, most of us just close all our rooms on the OTAs for the foreseeable future. This is an opportunity to go back to the OTAs and reopen the rooms and make sure that everything is up and running, so that if somebody's searching the OTAs for your hotel, he's also going to find that you have rooms and you are reopened for business. Now, digital ads is where it gets interesting and a little bit tricky. Now, this period is a period that we should probably explore more digital ads. And they're not so difficult to create. They're not so expensive like that. The thing about digital ads is just targeting. Once you're able to target properly, right, you would find out that you would spend a whole lot less to acquire one guest, right? And your revenue is going to grow exponentially. Now, there's this thing that Facebook does that is called the lookalike guests. Now, these lookalike guests usually, so here's the best way to get easy leads. If you have the email addresses of your already existing guests and you upload it to somewhere like Facebook, you can tell Facebook, look at these people and find lookalike guests. Now, the lookalike guest is more like similar, people who are similar, right? People who have maybe the same financial standing, they have also the same interests, the same, live in the same areas, by that way, it's going to be easier for you to get people who are like friends of your guests. For example, if you have a few MDs, right? A few oil and gas company MDs, for instance, spend some time in your hotel because they want to achieve a particular transaction, right? Now, it's likely that some of their friends will also have a similar transaction in that area. So we look alike guests. You can take that your guest list and then find friends, with similar interests, similar financial standing, similar positions, similar business, roles, right? So when you find those guys and you now show those guys your ads, either pictures or videos or digital banners, it now makes it easier for you to now have a much higher conversion rate, right? Now, if your hotel is in, say, Victoria Island and you want to go and run ads in places like Mushin or maybe Uju-Elegba, chances of conversion is much smaller. But if you are running your ads in places like, let's say, Abuja Airport, for instance, you get, or maybe even Lagos airports, and target people who are arriving, then the possibility of conversion is much higher. Now, this may not always work for all models because there are some people who live in these areas or who frequent these areas who would have nothing to do with your hotel. But you get the idea, where we just simply find friends and people with similar interests of your current guests, and then it's easy for you to get like lookalike guests. Okay, so hotel opportunities. These are some of the opportunities that your hotels can take advantage of. Now, one of my properties started before the lockdown, they started a program called Office Lunch. Now, the office lunch, the idea of office lunch is the hotel was actually located in Victoria Island. And around the hotel, they have lots of offices around the hotel. So they decided to look for a way to try to feed these guys who come to work every day, they work on the island within, in some cases, walking distance from the hotel. So they came up with a program called a package called office lunch. The office lunch, whereas their food, the normal food in the restaurant is around 4,500. So the office lunch price is much less than that. It's about 1,500 for a meal. Now, it makes it much easier for those guys to just stroll in, stroll into the hotel and just order office lunch. So the office lunch is done between 12 and I think 2 o'clock. 12 and 2 o'clock or so. So anything from outside 2 o'clock, you'd have to pay the regular 4,500 naira per plate. And it was quite a hit, especially since when we came into the picture and we ran a couple of display ads for the hotel, right? It enjoys so much patronage. So that's one opportunity that your hotel can take advantage of if you happen to be in an area where your immediate environment supports that business. Now, in addition to that office lunch, we can also do a food delivery. Now, food delivery is just very simple. Maybe either you have a bike or a transporter, somebody that will transport the food from the hotel to where it will be consumed, to the person placing the order, or you can engage the services of some of the delivery guys. I mean, they're all over the place. These guys on bike, you get. And you can just create one very small single page website, and then you advertise to your immediate location, right? Now, your immediate location can now place orders in order to save delivery costs for you. Your immediate environment can place orders between, say, from maybe like 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then you now tell them that place orders between 8 to 10 a.m. and your food will be delivered between 12 to 2. So it saves you quite a lot of delivery costs for you to be running back and forth. So your delivery guy will just leave at, say, you leave your hotel at maybe say 11 or 11:30, and he now delivers with one trip. He just covers all of his deliveries for the day, right? Rather than having to, from the hotel, he makes a delivery, comes back to the hotel, makes another delivery, comes back to the hotel, right? I know this period, everybody's trying to save costs as much as possible. And so some of these things would actually help us save costs. Now, it's just a matter of time. By the time you've educated your immediate environment about the new food delivery process, they will just blend with it after, trying it out for a little while. Now, we can post ads, right, for the food delivery service to just maybe like your immediate environment, 3 to 5 kilometer radius, to make it easy for the bike guy to just make the runs and all that. So we'll not have to spend, and like I said before, we can do 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. But again, this is dependent on your markets, right? It depends on how your market operates or what's happening in your market. So if you are in a business area, then we can do something like a food delivery period around the times when everybody wants to go for lunch. But if you are not in an area, you need to understand your market and find what works best for your specific market. All right, so when we are running ads, right? When we are running ads, we can have, just a particular catchment area where we'd set up, would say, okay, I want people in this area to see my ads, right? When you set it up, you can just define your 3 to 5 kilometer radius, and people in that area would be the only ones seeing your ads, in order to save you a whole lot of wastage. Because obviously, if you have, maybe if your business is in Beggar and somebody places an order for food in VI, it does not make economic sense for you to pay that low all the way, unless you have a way to do it for much less. Now, something like this page is something, just something very simple when you're doing your page, make sure you have very, very tempting and nutritious looking, shots of the food. Even if you have to do videos, make sure it is looking very, very appealing, because the appeal is going to be a major factor in people placing orders? Okay, so before we go into the techie stuff, I don't know if there are questions. I kind of would like to take a few questions. Do we have questions? Questions or comments? Comments is fine. If anybody wants to speak, let me just quickly unmute his mic. Musket, would you like to say something? I think I've omitted your mic, Musket. Could you just
okay.
Aha,
I just want to ask on that lookalike guest on Facebook. Is there an option like where on that Facebook can someone do? Because I've never tried that before on that lookalike.
Okay, so here's what happens. It's a bit longer than just a simple lookalike guest. Once you are boosting a post, for instance, or you are advertising a post, or you are setting up an advert, you can define your audience, right? There are many ways to define your audience, right? And the lookalike guest is one of the ways, to define your audience. But before you do lookalike guest, you need to first set up, okay, if you're doing email, first of all, you have to have a list of guests. That list of guests would either be their email addresses. It will either be that you set up Facebook pixel on either your site or something. You understand? Now, what Facebook pixel?
On my site or?
On your website.
My site? Okay.
On your website, yes.
Okay.
So what that Facebook pixel does is that it just sits on your site and waits. Anybody who visits your website, it will now check whether the person has a corresponding Facebook account. Are you getting? So it will now create a list for you and now start. It may not necessarily give you their email addresses and say, Mr. James at gmail.com visited your site, but it will just create them as tags and be telling you the number. Okay, this number of persons have visited your site, that kind of thing. So when you're setting up lookalike guests, you can now point back to that list that Facebook has generated for you on your site, or you can point to the list of emails that you have uploaded and say, these people, find other people who look like them, who have similar interests and similar, yeah, you get.
Just like what Jumia does, like when you click on bag, then similar thing will come back to you, like other person check this. Okay.
But what Jumia does now in that case now is once you look at a particular bag, it's something called the remarketing. The concept is called remarketing, right? Yeah. They would be showing you ads of that particular bag, right?
Relating to something like that.
And ads that of other bags, that, like you said, relates to it. So if you look at your initial bag that you were looking at and you're not feeling comfortable, maybe you don't like the color, they'll start giving you many different options. The ads will start showing different options, right? So you can now find, accidentally you stumble upon a bag that oh, okay, it's like this bag, but it's a different color, and I like this one better than the original one I was looking for. The whole idea of Jumia is they're trying to encourage you to close, to buy. You get?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah,
all right. Do we have other questions?
No, I'm fine for now.
Okay, all right. Mr. Korede. Madam Foluke, do you have questions, ma'am?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, it's really not a question per se, but it's just a comment. Okay. The hotel where I worked last, there was a time we activated this launch kind of a program. Okay. Although the vicinity doesn't have much of offices, it's more like a residential kind of area environment. So it really didn't work as much as we anticipated. Okay, so I mean, just coming off from this, I kind of now have a better idea of what we would have implemented just to make sure everything worked really fine as at that time.
Okay, but what do you think would work as at now?
For now?
Yes. What do you think would have worked if you were to run that ad again? Or if you were to do a similar promotion?
Okay, majorly, because it's more a residential area.
Yes.
And then it's not equally an high income earning area.
High area, yes.
Yes, you understand. So it was I think it was a project that was ordered. If I was there currently now, I think of course one have to look at, okay, look, what is the income level of these people around this area and try to meet up. Of course, because I did raise that issue, but perhaps the top level management were too curious about the revenue that was coming in, because I made a point that, look, if this thing is going to start, it has to be a long-term thing. So we need to look at the pockets of the people, our target market, and then fit in to that kind of thing, where rather than go to the local restaurant close by, they could prefer to come to us, knowing full well that whatever they are getting, it's hygienically prepared compared to the other ones around that area, which in the long time would definitely improve the revenue, because the more the people get, the awareness gets to them, the more they come to us.
Okay, but first of all, I would say it again. First of all, it depends on the area. But things like the gym, and fitness and all that would actually, again, it depends on the area. You get? If the people can afford it, perhaps you should maybe things like gym. It must not necessarily be a particular service that you force down the throats of the audience. You get? But you just look around and look at what is the likely demand of people. The demand can be something like clubbing. You get? If it's something like clubbing, you can just do an extensive, maybe Thursday evening, you can start running one or two ads, then you now show them the address, to give them the impression that, oh, it's actually close to home. You get? If it is whatever the service, right? Whatever you can do to affect your immediate community, right? Like some of the hotels we work with, they just focus on pool.
Yes.
Right? They just focus on the pool. So almost every Saturday, Sunday, the place is full to the brim with pool parties. Right? Now, as a hotel, you can even now organize your own custom pool parties. Maybe you may decide to invite one or two comedians or known figures or something of the sort. Whatever appeals to your immediate market, right, is what we can explore. Then the other services that do not necessarily appeal to your immediate market, we can now find ways to try and bring it into focus. You get? But everything now boils down to and depends on what the ability of your market to patronize.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Do we have any more comments before we go on to the next section? Section.
I have a
Madam
question.
Foluke, perfect. Thank God you said
Good
something.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is based on reaching out to our guests.
Yes.
In a time like this.
Yes.
And then you said one of the best ways to reach out to them is through email, sending mails to them. But I observe that most of our guests, when they come to the hotel, by the time you give them the reg card to fill, you discover that they don't
write
they
the
are
correct email.
always in a hurry, and they don't want to put down their email address. So, and it's one of the challenges I'm having. So I'm just looking at what's the best practice in getting their email address from them.
Yes.
How do we go about it? Because most of them don't even want to disclose their identity.
You are totally correct. Absolutely
that
correct.
That is just my challenge. So apart from the
Hello? Madam Foluke, I think we lost you there. All right. I can't hear you again, Madam Foluke, but let me just respond to that. Now, it's normal. Once the guest arrives first at the reception, they won't want to fill out the reg card, like you said, with so much information. In fact, a few times I've lodged in a hotel, I'll just tell them, just write okay, and I will move on. If they now start disturbing me for that details, I'm like, please, shey you've gotten your money, and leave me alone now, free me. So it's normal. But one of the best ways to collect the email addresses of your guests is to encourage them to make a booking online, right? Now, if your hotel doesn't have a booking engine and a good online presence, this is one of the best times to also look into it. In fact, that's part of the next things we are going to talk about. Now, online booking, it is almost imperative that you leave a correct email address and phone number. Now, in some of the hotels we support, here's what we need. We just ask the guest for three things: his name, his phone number, and his email address, right? That's the only personal information we ask. His name, would ask him for, what name do you want to check in with? Leave a first name, we don't care about the last name. Your phone number. Now, beside the phone number, we tell you if something happens, your room is secure though, but if something happens and we need to reach you fast, what email address, what phone number can we reach you with?
That's why I did training.
Right? All right. Now, the last thing, the email address, right? Would now tell the guest, what email can we send your confirmation to, right? Now, I see many hotel guests, if they manage to set up an online booking system, they will ask all kinds of totally useless information. They will ask for your name, surname, first name, house address, country, citizenship, local government area. All those things are not necessary. A guest does not, at the attention span of people today, especially when you're on the internet, they don't have time for all that stuff. In fact, if they can just skip and click and skip all those things, they will do it. They will take it. You get? So we have to ask for the barest minimum, and we have to ask for information sufficient to provide the best possible service. So that's why we just ask for just three things: your name or names, anyone. If you want to put first name, last name, we don't care. Your phone number, in case we need to reach you, maybe something changes about your reservation and we need to reach you fast. Your email address, where do we send confirmation to? So now, we have tactically gotten your email address. And so in times like this, we will just send you, these kinds of communication. Now, last week, one of my properties sent about 15,000 emails. And in the space of 1 or 2 days, the hotel came back to life. So these are some of the advantages you get from having, all of these practices in place. So do we have more questions? Muskets, your head is quite prominent. Okay, no questions. All right, can you guys see I keep getting this feedback that it appears maybe you can't see my screen. Please, Muskets, what can you see on your screen?
Yeah, I can see your slide here.
Okay, what's written on the slide?
Getting back hotel guests, hotel recovery after the lockdown, Mr.
Okay. So which means you're not seeing my PowerPoint presentation. Oh boy. Okay, let me see if I can fix that real quick. Just hold on 1 second. Okay, so can you see the techie stuff?
Yes, I can see the techie stuff.
Perfect. All right, so now we're back online. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, this is about to get technical, but don't be afraid, right? It's actually very simple stuff. There is nothing difficult. Forget about how technical it sounds. There is absolutely nothing difficult in it. Oh, okay. Madam Folake is experiencing rainfall. Oh, okay. All right, so let's quickly dive in. Now, we are going to learn today how to steal new guests, how to find new guests and how to steal them. All right, now, some of us would have been familiar with something called a sales funnel. I'm sure you'd have maybe heard from some of these network marketers talking about sales funnel, up and down. Now, the sales funnel is actually is a simple concept or a simple principle that you can use to maximize your conversion, right? Now, if you want to sell a house worth like 70 million naira, you can't just throw to somebody and say, come and buy this house, it's worth 70 million naira. He will just look at you and tell you no. You get? Now, even if he has the money, right, in most cases, there's a series of steps he will go through before he would decide to put pen to paper to actually make that very large purchase. In some cases, you may want to start by trying to convince him to come for maybe a house opening of the next door neighbor. You may want to try and convince him to maybe come for like a viewing, you get, or for like a cocktail party, something of the sort. Now, if you are able to convince him to come for maybe just a simple viewing of the house, you now spark his interest. Hello, do we need to mute our mics? Hello, somebody's mic is not really... Okay, let me mute. Oh, Madam Foluke, your mic is not mute. All right. All right, so the first stage for that guy who you are trying to sell a house to, if you can first of all convince him to come for a viewing, for instance, you've gotten him to take the first step, right? So taking that first step is how do I put it? It's more like the first thing he does, right? The first thing he will do is, okay, just come for a viewing, don't buy, just come for a viewing, right? And you go back and forth, and eventually he agrees to come for a viewing, right? Now, by the time he sees the house, it now sparks his interest. He'll be like, okay, this house is actually beautiful. How much did you say the house is again? You now say, okay, it's just only 70 million. And you now get into a discussion about how the estate is nice and beautiful, how everywhere is so fine and all of that. So by the time you've now succeeded in sparking up his interest, first of all, right? Now, the next step, maybe you may want to now give him a form to just fill and put down his basic information. You can even help him fill it, right? Which is the next step of our sales funnel. Now, if you are able to get him to fill that form and return it to you, then you've succeeded in making him move to the next step or the next phase. He's now one step closer to buying the house. The next thing is to now get him to make a deposit. Maybe you can tell him, okay, the real estate company has a very fantastic mortgage system. You can actually spread your mortgage out for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So the next step is to try and get him to make an initial deposit. So once you get him to make an initial deposit, he's again one step closer to actually buying the house, right? Now, you've able to get him to move from the initial point where he knew nothing about the house to the point where he has made the deposit and probably when he has bought the house and closed the deal, right? Which is exactly the concept that sales funnel talks about. It's more like, rather than just barging into someone and telling him to make a ridiculous investment decision or a ridiculous purchase decision, walk him through small incremental steps that he could just take, and before you know it, before he looks back, he has made the purchase, right? So now, on the average, right, if you have the first level of so there are different sales funnels, different types of sales funnels, depending on your market, your business model, your business type, location, and a whole bunch of other things. So what we can just look at briefly in this case is, if we break our sales funnel into just three: reach, consideration, and buy, right? It gives us an idea where each person is, each guest or prospective guest is on the funnel. Now, your social media activity, right, can be on the first level. We can classify that as part of the first stage of your sales funnel, where you reached a lot of persons. You reach people with social media, with ads, and with, you know, all kinds of communication that you put out, public information that you put out. Now, if somebody sees your property, maybe often, for example, and he now wants a hotel in your market, he may now want to consider your hotel and a couple of other hotels in the area, which might catch his fancy. And the things that will catch his fancy is things like services, Wi-Fi, breakfast, features, you get. So if we're able to reach 500 persons, it's likely that only 400 persons will move from reach to consideration, right? Which is around an 8% conversion. Now, these are just arbitrary figures to demonstrate what's the concept of the sales funnel. Now, out of that 400 persons, right, they would make inquiries, they will call you, they will interact with your live chat, ask questions, and all that. Out of that 400 persons, you may just have maybe like only 20 persons who would actually buy, who would actually come and stay in your hotel, right? Now, these 20 persons from this our small diagram represents a 5% conversion rate, right? Now, again, these are just arbitrary values to just demonstrate the concept of a sales funnel. Now, we need to understand our hotel, right? For us to get more buys, we need to understand our hotel and our market. For us to get more buys, we need to have a lot more persons at the reach stage, right? And then we need to find ways to convert people from this reach stage to the consideration stage, right? Once they've moved from reach to consideration, we can now find ways again to move them from consideration to buy stage. This buy stage is where they come and stay in your hotel, and they now have a nice time, they're okay and all that. Now, some of the ways we can get to reach more persons is, like I said, social media, ads, and all that. Some of the ways to get people to move from reach to consideration stage is where you have things like, you can do like a cocktail, you can do like an open day, you can do like a free Sunday buffet, you get? And in this case, remember, you'll be targeting people who are decision makers, right? So protocol officers in the companies that you are targeting should probably be part of your consideration. Secretaries in some cases, depending on the size of the organization. Anybody who has anything to do with travel in the company should be the kind of people you should reach. You should try and move from the reach stage to the consideration stage. Now, when they come to the hotel, you give them a grand tour, they look around, they see how nice and lovely everywhere is. You know, everybody will be like impressed, like, okay, I like this place, I like this place. Before you know it, you now start having the discussions like, oh, we can use here for our next end of year party. Oh, okay, we can actually come and stay here for our next retreat. Oh, I like a conference room, it works very well for us. So now at that point, you've now been able to motivate the conversation from consideration to buy. So with just a little bit of follow-up and the right opportunity and placement, it will be easier to make the move from consideration stage to the buy stage. Now, these people who have bought are very important because they have become your ambassador. Now, in our previous slide, we had about 20 persons, right, that bought. Now, in our next slide, these 20 persons can actually fill up your hotel. Now, if these 20 persons who are your current customers have a good experience, the possibility of these 20 persons recommending your hotel to their friends, their lookalike audience, like we spoke, is quite high. And you see that the conversion rates between somebody giving you a recommendation that have stayed in the hotel will be quite high. Now, my figure here I have is when people who have stayed in the hotel recommend to friends, you would have a conversion of as high as 60%. In some cases, it might even be much higher. For example, one recommendation can lead to, okay, in one of my properties, one recommendation led to a full 100% booking for a week. That transaction was worth about 12 million. It all came from just one recommendation, only one. Now, so you have the people, your current customers recommending to their friends, and it will be much easier for those people, those their friends to actually make a purchase decision. You get? Ouch. Somebody's mic is not mute, please. All right, so managing our hotels, we need to pay very close attention to this. Now, in theory, somebody will always tell you the customer is always right, the customer is king, this and that. Now, the actual reason for the customer is always right, like we already know, is that one or two recommendations can lead to, in fact, it can lead to 100% booking in your property, right? Okay, so now, the next thing to do is to fix touch points. Touch points are very, very key, especially in this age. A touch point is just very simple. Every contact that a guest has with your hotel is a touch point. Whether the guest looks you up on your official website has to be on point. It doesn't necessarily mean that you spend a couple of millions going to pay some people to do a WordPress site, right? But it just has to be simple enough to give the guests the information they need, right? And easy to book and easy to get response. So the prospective guests can, when they arrive on your website, they should not be frustrated with it is loading, it's taking so much time to load, we cannot get the information we need, we cannot reach anybody, all of that, right? Your social media should also be as active as possible. Again, this is depending on the kind of hotel you have and your location as well. Now, your email response should also be key. If a guest takes the time to type an email, somebody should respond to him as quickly as possible. Your support line should also be on point. Your live chat is very, very important that your live chat is very responsive. Hello? Someone's mic is not mute.
What your wife give you eat?
Okay, Mr. Peter, I think your mic is not mute. Okay, all right, so let's move on. All right, so all of your touch points have to be well taken care of. Everything, your entire touch point has to be, every time a guest makes a contact with your hotel, right? That interaction the guest should leave feeling happy, right? I'm not saying that you should encourage your staff to go too far, maybe over and beyond, maybe trying to honor certain ridiculous requests, like come and see me privately and all that. Yeah, but they just need to be as professional as possible, do the basics and leave the rest, right? So your marketing guys can now, when they are doing their follow-up, they can now go ahead and now, make some other office calls, you get. All right, so now just to reiterate, right? In most cases, this is how your touch points affect your guests. If you ignore social media and ads, then you are reaching less persons, right? If you ignore your support line, you are reaching people who are in most cases the rich stage. If you ignore your support line, email, live chat, and your website, you are ignoring people who are considering staying in your hotel, right? And then the direct interaction with hotel staff is directly affecting people who are making a decision to buy, right? So if any of these is lacking, you can see on this simple chart where you are having leakages in your sales funnel. All right, now, again, this is where it gets partially technical, but don't be afraid. This is very, very simple. There is no big deal in what we're about to talk about. Now, there are some tests you can use to see how your property is doing, right? Or before we get here, does anybody have questions? Questions, comments? Mr. Peter? Mr. Korede? Okay, let me see if I would unmute us. Okay, all right. If anybody has comments, now will be the time to say something. Do we have comments on Facebook, YouTube? All right, yes. Someone wants to say something. Can we go on? All right, good. Let's go on. Musket, you want to say something? Musket, we can't hear you. Let me see. Okay. You said no. Okay, all right. Let's move on. Okay, Mr. Peter, I think your audio is back. I've unmuted your audio. Yes, your audio should be back. Okay, let me just check. All right, Mr. Peter, while you're trying to fix your audio, if you can get it sorted, we'll come back to you. Okay, so now this is where the fun begins. If you're not paying attention before, this is probably where you should pay attention, especially as a manager. Now, when your IT guy comes to you and say, oh, okay, we've done this, we've tested everything and all that, everything is fine, we can go ahead. There are some basic tests that you can use to know how well your touch points are performing. Now, for example, your websites. Almost all of our hotels have websites, right? But now the problem is that is your website actually doing a good job at converting? Because conversion is key. If you are not converting, then you probably just have maybe a picture book or a picture album. Okay, Mr. Peter, I'll come back to you. All right, so now the purpose of having a website is to make sure that you are found, right? People who are looking for services in your area, they have to find you. If they cannot find you, then please close the website. It's a total waste of time, right? Okay. Mr. Peter, your audio keeps coming on and off. I think you can. Mr. Peter, try and say something. I think we can hear you now. Okay, good, Mr. Peter, we can hear you now.
Come and take off. This is what I want.
Mr. Peter, we can hear you.
Don't mind him. My friend, this is what I want.
Okay, I think he's having certain operational issues there. So let's get back. Okay, so now the first advice I would recommend, if you have a website, if you have a hotel website, please do not ever use a WordPress site. Do not allow your IT man to design a WordPress, either your IT man or whoever is handling your website. Do not allow him to do a WordPress site. WordPress site is easy to design, very easy to design, right? But there's a lot of issues with WordPress site. Most developers do not take time to actually fix the back-end parts of the website. By the back-end part, I'm talking about default texts. I'm talking about default texts, right? Now, WordPress usually comes with a lot of default text, and when the search engine checks the website, spiders the website, it will find a lot of default text, you get, and then it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult to now project your hotel in good light. Now, I'll show you a demonstration after maybe one or two of these slides. right? We would run some of these tests. Maybe somebody can volunteer his website, right? We would do a search engine test, speed test, mobile responsive test, and all of these tests. Now, it's also a good idea once in a while as a manager to maybe just send one of your friends and tell him, okay, just call my hotel website and just pretend to be a guest you get and see what kind of response and what kind of customer service that you are going to get. Now, that will give you an idea of what is going on when you are not present. Because if your staff have a particular pattern of behavior, right, the moment they do not recognize a certain person or a certain guest or a certain voice, they will just continue without their normal pattern of behavior, right? And it gives you an idea of what is happening, and it helps you to take corrective measures before the damage is done too much. Now, the live chat is actually very important, and one of the most important things in live chat is response time. Now, I usually recommend that you do not bother giving your front desk staff the live chat to handle, because most times they'll be so distracted with other guest issues, like I want to handle room issues, I want to make this, they are distracted with a lot of tasks. So if you now add live chats that requires a very, very high response time, you would most likely lose a lot of leads, right? Two things I would suggest is if you have somebody who is at the back office that can handle live chats, that would be fine. Or if you don't, you can probably consider outsourcing the live chat, especially when a company has a track record of responding to live chats, right? Now, it is best to respond to chats in somewhere between 30 to 60 seconds, because anything longer than that, the possibility of the guest leaving that live chat would be higher, and you would have lost the opportunity to convert somebody from consideration to buy, or from reach to consideration, right? Now, it's also important to do guest follow-ups. In most hotels, the marketers do this, right? But most times the marketers are under this kind of pressure to close, right? But whatever happens, whatever works for you, whatever you can do to have good guest follow-ups is probably what you should do. If you have good marketers that can handle the situation, fine. If you want to, however you want to do the matter, but you also need to be tactical and diplomatic, right? And not call somebody at a critical period when he's with his spouse and tell him, okay, thank you for staying in our hotel. You need to understand whoever is doing the follow-up needs to, as much as possible, try to understand the scenario around the guest before he says anything that he should not say. Remember, the privacy of the guest is very, very, very important. Now, action plans. What can we do from today? What can we do from today to start raking in more guests, and getting as much activity as possible? We can do a digital marketing plan, right? We can have a digital marketing plan. This is not just post pictures and videos on social media. You need to have a plan, an actual plan from end to end, right? You need to have, if your plan is post on social media, do a good website, follow up on mails or whatever, right? There are different ways you can plan. Your plan can even be Instagram, generate a good discussion topic or something. Your plan can even be something like maybe give out do a promotion, or maybe like a buy stay 2 nights, get 1 free, something like that. But whatever your plan is, whatever you decide in terms of your plan, it is going to be a function of your market. What kind of market are you in, right? And apart from that, and what can your property support? Now, you also need to do a good sales funnel, a fair enough sales funnel. Facebook retargeting, like we talked about, is actually very key. If you take the email addresses of your previous guests and upload it to Facebook, you can actually generate lookalike audience and then target them for those safety videos and maybe new ads, the reopen announcements you get that we talked about earlier. That way you'll be able to increase your conversion rates and you will minimize your ad spend. You can also do Google ads for small services, small add-on services like office launch, like small things that you can do office launch, maybe gym, maybe a fitness program, maybe whatever it is. It depends on your hotel, your market, your location, and all of that. And please, ladies and gentlemen, set up a live chat. If you do not have this, if you can't set up a live chat, or you do not want to set up a live chat, or you do not have the manpower to handle it, please outsource. Email marketing is also very key. It's important for us to have a good email marketing list. And in that email marketing list, we would also need to be a little diplomatic in the way we send the emails to make sure that we do not give certain wrong impressions. Okay, so at this point, this is where we can open up the floor for questions, for comments, for particular cases in your specific hotel, right? We can look at specific cases in your specific hotel before we move to the next segment, where we will do live demonstration, or we can even take your own hotel and we'll analyze your hotel in different aspects. Okay, so we all have the floor. Anybody who wants to make a comment, now would be a good time. Madam Folake. Madam Folake, you have the floor, ma'am.
I didn't hear you well.
Oh, I said you have the floor, ma'am.
Okay. Really, I've actually learned. I've learned a lot of things, but in the middle of the discussion, I couldn't hear anything at all. Okay. It was raining. The network was bad, but that was when we were talking about the sales funnel.
Yes.
I didn't get anything about the sales funnel, and I wish I can have something from you about that. But in a nutshell, I understand that sending email to our various guests at this time is very important for them to know that, okay, we are ready and we are back to business. Doing a video, safety video, a welcome pack video for our guests is very paramount at this time, so that they can be rest assured and they can understand that, oh, we have put all things in place and then we are ready and back to business. So it will really help us a lot. Now, you talked about these digital marketing.
Yes.
And the action plans that are involved. You talked about these websites.
Yes.
And I want to use Ostra as an example. Ostra is not a big hotel. We are still very small. We have 45 rooms, and then we have events. We have small, we have halls and conference rooms. We have a big hall for events that can contain 500 participants. So,
can we have one house, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is that this website of a thing, like I said, Ostra, for example, we have a website. But we also have some agents that that do business with us. They register with us, and then so my concern is that once you click on Ostra, the first thing you see is that the people that come to you is those agents. The agents, they are the one that you're going to see. So,
are you still with us, ma'am?
We can do it in such a way that it will be Ostra. It will be direct. We'll be dealing directly with the Ostra. I mean.
Oh boy. Okay, Madam Foluke, your network, I don't know, it keeps going off and on. Wow, this is actually an important discussion. Madam Foluke. Okay, good. Madam Foluke, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. Someone is trying to.
Hello?
So I am looking at how opening a website that is very active, I think is important, whereby it will be managed by Ostra staff directly, rather than, though we have one, but it's not too active. So I'm looking for what are the ways that we can make it so active that at a go, once guests click on Ostra, they will deal with us directly, and then we'll be having our business directly with them, with our clients.
Okay,
online.
but just to come, so your hotel is Ostra Hotel, OSTRA hotel.com, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. So first of all, do you mind? Can we use your hotel as a case study?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'm pulling up your hotel now, and we would do a little bit of analysis, and we would move on from there, right? This is your site, right? Can you see it?
Yes, yes, I can see.
Very beautiful website. All right, so here's the first thing I want to do, right? The first thing I want to do is that I want to check if your hotel, this website was done with WordPress, right? Remember I said, so what I will do is I will just put /wp-admin and check if I get a login page. I think it was designed with WordPress. Yeah, it was. Now, this is the first thing I talked about, right? To avoid using WordPress, because WordPress has a lot of default text that developers don't even bother taking off, right? Now, I will show you the reason why your hotel is, what's the word? Is losing prominence when someone is looking for Ostra Hotel. Now, so first we've established that your hotel was designed with WordPress. You can see the WordPress logo, you can see the username and password. And I will tell you why in a minute, why I do not like WordPress ever for anything, especially in a hotel website. Now, if you come to google.com, the first test I want to do is I want to see what does the search engine see when it spiders Ostra Hotel. So here's my test. I will do sites, then I will paste your website address, ostrahotel.com, right? Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Let me put it in the chat just to be sure. This is my search term.
Okay.
Right? I put sites, ostrahotel.com. Yeah. Now, when I search for it, here's two things we need to know is that the search engines do not like repetition for any reason. So if you have repetitions in your site, either title tags, either description, and or whatever it is, if you have too many repetitions, it keeps pushing your hotel down. You get it keeps, and then it keeps you don't get so much visibility like that, right? Now, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a case where, okay, let me just show you something. Each of these listings is an opportunity for you to try and convince a guest to stay in your hotel, right? Now, this listing has to carry as much information as possible and address as much of his concerns as possible. You get? Now, let's take the first listing. Ostra Hotel, the best hotel in the center of excellence. Find stylish comfort and relaxation in Ostra halls and hotels located in the heart of the business and industrial district of Ikeja behind MKO. Well, okay, fair. But here's what I want to point to, right? Business suites. Okay, so we have rooms, Ostra Hotel, right? Very small. Let me just jump to what I want to talk about directly. Look at this entry. This entry just says golf, Ostra Hotel, and then it now brings up this mumbo jumbo text. This is actually default text from WordPress. This is one of the reasons why I hate WordPress, because developers don't bother to go and take off all of this. Now you can see this default text is here. This default text is here again. You get exactly the same thing. This default text is here again. Default text is here again. So you already have too many repetitions, and the search engine is already, it will start ranking you much lower and much lower and much lower. They'll keep saying, these guys are not serious. They're just giving us a bunch of default text. You get? Madam Folake, you're still there? Okay, let's just assume she's still there. But if you just scroll down, you have so much default text. It's just way too much default text. And if the search engine picks any of these entries and it wants to compete side by side on the same page with hotels like Lagos Continental, Echo Hotel, I mean, it's going to be obvious. Nobody is going to give your hotel 2 glances before they move on, right? Now, let me show you an ideal listing, a listing that can work, right? That is a little different compared to what we have here. Let's say statementhotel.com. Now, compare what we had from Ostra Hotel with what we have in Statement Hotel. Even if we're just taking only the first listing alone, right? If we're going to take the first listing alone, now you can see this site took a lot more, it made better use of the space available, right? Statementhotel.com, updated March 2020. What message does that pass to you? It passes the message that, okay, these guys are updating regularly, right? So you have Statement Hotel Abuja, it's supposed to be rooms from the price of the room, but notwithstanding, let's move on. Stay in our massive hotel located close to Aso Rock. Call our hotlines this to book. Rates are 2020 rates. Rooms plus free breakfast plus Wi-Fi. And then you have a small rating, 3.9 reviews out of 17 reviews. Now, a guest would already have a list of things he wants in his mind, a list of questions that he would have. One of the things he would say is, okay, is there free breakfast? Can I get breakfast? What's the price of your smallest room? Just some basic rooms. So this listing has already answered some of those hotels, some of those initial questions that you would have. You get? Now, let me show you another case study. Let's say Chesney Hotels. Now, this is actually a project under review. So everything is not, is still being worked on, right? My team is currently still working on this. Now, you can see this listing. This listing is probably an ideal listing, right? Because it tells you at first glance a lot of things that you want to know. Chesney Hotels, silver room at 45,000. Rates updated, it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be June 2020. The silver room is one of the most economic rooms in Victoria Island area. It's designed for a couple with economic travel whose preference is privacy. And so we have the name of the hotel, we have the price of the room, we have the ratings, right? Now, some other listings, you would have other things like official lodging partner of Big Brother's Niger Housemates. We've been hosting VIPs and celebrity guests for years, blah, blah, blah. Try our exclusive hotel. Now, what does this give you? This gives you, it gives the guest the impression that for people to want to take this hotel, for people to want to stay in this hotel, right, for celebrities and popular figures to want to stay in this hotel, it means that the security protocol of this hotel is very good. You get? Now, the ratings is there. We have some other small basic information like price of the room, like 1 or 2 features here and there, you know, and all that. So now the idea is to get the hotel to have as much reasonable listings, right? As much reasonable listings as possible, right? Now, in the listings, we can have things like summary of services. We can have things like summary of prices, but not too much. We need to avoid repetitions as much as possible and generally have a very, very rich listing. You get? Instead of having default text, you just have a whole bunch of default text that does not mean anything. You get? Madam Folake, are you still with us? Madam Folake?
Yes, I'm struggling to hear you bit by bit.
Oh, okay, don't worry. I promise you, this video is currently being recorded. I would send you the full video on YouTube. Or if you want, I could send you a YouTube link where you can, but it all depends on your network and speed. Okay, but is there any point where there was a bit of confusion, you know, you missed out something? Madam Folake, are you still with us?
Hello?
Hello. You are still with us, ma'am? Okay.
Please.
Oh, okay. All right, don't worry. I will send you the full video of this, the full recording of this video after this.
Okay.
All right, so this is a simple example. Okay, let's just still go further, right? And analyze Madam Folake's hotel more. Now, I would also want to do a few tests, right? I'd want to do a few tests real quick. Let me do a speed test. Now, these speed tests will tell us how fast your hotel is. It just puts it on a relative scale of between 0 and 100%, with 0 being horribly slow and 100% being absolutely very fast. So what we are going to do is that we are going to paste Madam Folake's what's it called, hotel's website in this on this page, so that we can analyze the speed of the sites or the speed of the page. Okay, so now at 85%, we're almost done. At the end of this test, okay, fine. Now you can see what we have now. Austral Hotels has been rated 20% on mobile devices. Now you can see a small legend here. 0 to 49 is red, very bad. 50 to 89 is fair, is average. 90 to 100% is outstanding. So for mobile devices, right, this particular page loads really slowly, and for desktop is a little bit improved, but both of them are still in the red zone, right? Muskets, feel free to share with us. So feel free to share the joke with us. I can see you taking notes, which is actually good. All right, so you can see both mobile and web, both mobile views and desktop views, both of them are actually very, very poor. They are still in the red zone, which is not very, very nice. But again, and then you can have you have quite a few recommendations on what to change and all that, what things that can help to save you save speed. But if we now, let's take something like Whispering Palms, Lagos. In contrast, if we run something like Whispering Palms, Lagos, for instance, Whispering Palms is located in Badagry, and their entire digital marketing plan was done by Prime Royal Limited. Now you can see quite a bit of an improvement on the mobile display for this particular page, right? We got at least a 60% for this particular page. The desktop, on the other hand, is 87%. How is that possible? Okay, now if we take other sites, let this just finish loading. I want to take other sites. Okay, so 58 for mobile, and we have 89 for desktop. Let's quickly take a look at Statement Hotel.
Sorry, Mr. Primate.
Go ahead.
Can you please also check Genesis Sojourner, like sojournerhotel.com?
Okay. Oh, you work in Genesis. Interesting.
Yes. Sojourner, yeah.
Just hold on 1 second. Let me just find it.
It's raining heavily here. I don't know if that is
Yes.
affecting.
It's raining here as well, but not so bad. I'm trying to find the official website. Okay,
That's our official website. I just
Sojourner, genesissojourner.com.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let us take a look and see what is going on there. How fast is your website?
Super fast.
You sure? You have full confidence.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
My GM is here anyway. So.
GM. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay.
I hope your website was not designed with WordPress.
It is.
Oh boy.
But ours is we've done our own homework on that. All those lorem is default text. All the default text. I'm not sure you can see anything there.
Okay. Now I'm not sure what's going on this page. It's telling me something about. Let me see if I can try it one more time. If it doesn't work one more time, then I'll try opening another tab. Okay. I'll try opening another tab. Oh, okay. It's a bit of a problem. All right. So, but before maybe we should, in the interim, let us try and see if we can find default text. We'll come back to page speeds.
Okay. Yeah, you can check it in.
Okay, pretty hard before your GM will sack you for not doing a good job. All right. Well, you said you removed default text, right? Just another WordPress site, the Sojourner by Genesis. We'll still have a bit of default text here, right? We have a listing that I'm not too proud of. It just has home, about us, our rooms, dining, contacts. Come on, let's just throw the WordPress away and just be done with it.
Yeah.
We have another page that says index of ED reports. This is probably some kind of report from your executive director. I'm not sure. Okay, I can see you. Oh, okay. You are wise. You are sharp enough to clear it. Now we have contacts, the Sojourner by Genesis, and a whole bunch of default text. You can see, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have dining, see-through, delicate embroidery. Okay, this is quite fair, but this text is not enough to convince me to stay in your hotel.
You're right.
Okay. Now, bed signature. This is fine. This is fair. Trying to describe the hotel facilities, but I would have preferred if it's a lot more organized. You get?
Okay.
And hallelujah, we have another default text. Musket, welcome to WordPress. This is your first post. Edit or delete it.
Okay. Default text on website.
So you can see.
Yeah.
Now we have uncategorized that. So with all of these, right? I will just simply take a very simple shortcut and I will stay away from WordPress. Very simple. Because it's no matter how much you remove your default text, it's very
difficult. Which application are you now recommending apart from WordPress application?
Well, at Prime Royal, we do all our coding from scratch.
Okay.
There's a reason for it, right? Okay. The reason for it is that we pay very strict attention to search engine optimization. It is very difficult when we are done with your site. It's very difficult for us to have default text. You get, even if you have default text,
because you did it from scratch.
You did this from scratch.
I said because you did it from scratch, it's not possible for you to have default text.
So apart from the fact that you will not have default text, right? We can change all our title tags, meta tags. We'll add all of our alt tags, title tags, and we'll just set everything because we already know what to look out for, right?
we also use very, very light pictures, right? Now, I'm sure you probably would have used PNG pictures somewhere, right?
Yes. But
Okay.
PNG any PNG that is used is saved for web in order to enhance the speed of the site.
Now, PNG, I personally will stay away from PNG, right? Because PNG is very, very sharp, very high resolution, and it's also very heavy. You get? Now,
All our PNGs are saved for web. It enhances, yes, it enhances speed, site speed. If not, if any guest or anybody is looking at the site, it will be slow.
If you
so
convert it to,
our pictures are not heavy.
If you convert your site, okay, but what's the average size of your picture? Musket, do you have the average size? Do you have the average size of your picture?
Average size should, I'm not sure because I'm not the one that built it.
Yes,
but,
okay.
Yes,
we can easily find out, right? We can easily find out very easily, right? But okay, first of all, we've established. I mean, come on, let's face facts. Look at the whole bunch of things that we need to take off, right? Now, even if we have to, let's go to the actual site. Let's go to the actual site, right?
Okay.
So you can see it's even okay. It's even very difficult to load, very, very hard, right? Maybe I can probably use something else, another application. Now, all of these things put together contributes to an uncomfortable guest experience. You get? Now, yeah. I don't know whether it's my internet that is slow, but I'm sure I have one of the fastest internet in Nigeria today, right?
I also have one of the fastest also.
But
that's why my network has not been blinking.
Yeah, okay. But how fast? But the problem now is the average guest would have internet speed similar to what Madame Foluke has. Are you getting? That will be having a lot.
You are breaking. You are breaking.
Hello.
I can hear you nicely. You said okay. What?
The average guest, the speed of the average guest, right?
Yes.
Like let's say his internet connection will be something similar to what Madame Foluke has, where she keeps having disconnections again and again and again and again. You get? So we need to design.
It's because it's raining there now. That's why.
To be very, very. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's raining here too. Her situation is an ideal guest situation, right? So you need to design your site as light as possible, right? So that with the slightest touch, everything just moves forward, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether you can see this screen. Okay,
I can see your screen.
Okay, so I have two tabs now that I've tried to load Genesis Sojourner, and both of them are still giving me issues, right? Up till now, they haven't loaded, right? Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, so we have to assume that the guest is having a very horrible internet connection. Are you getting? So we have to design it as light as possible. So a PNG file, an average PNG file, will be something around 10, 20, between 10 to 100 MB, right? For an average website. But if you have JPEG file, you'll be having something around 200, 300 to 200, 300, 400, 500 kilobytes, right? But there are even other more recent picture formats. GM, we are hailing, sir. Okay, so there are even other more lighter picture formats, right? That can give you pictures as light as maybe 10, 20 kilobytes, and it still has the resolution of the sharp resolution that of the PNG. You get? So Musket, you can see the Genesis Sojourner. GenesisSojourner.com.
Yeah, we're currently working on it.
After waiting for quite a long time, very long time. It finally loaded and it showed us a 404. Anyway, no problem, it's fine. Okay, so I don't want to, should we still go ahead and do the speed test?
Yes.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Okay, something is still wrong. I'm not sure what, but we're not getting.
Actually,
we're not getting.
We are working on it as right now.
Oh,
that's why
okay.
Yes, you might not even see it.
Okay. Okay. All right, no problem. That explains that. All right. So what does anybody else want us to use his website as a case study? Okay, Musket, while we are still on the Genesis Sojourner, the other tests we would have done, right?
Okay.
That will also improve guest experience. For example, AMP test, right? I don't know whether you set up a live chat on it. You're familiar with AMP, right?
KMP?
AMP, associated AMP, A for Alpha, M for Mary, and P for Papa.
Not really.
Accelerated mobile pages. It's more like a light version of a regular site. The speed of an AMP site is supposed to be exponentially much faster than a regular site. Now,
accelerated what?
Mobile pages. Now, let me just give you a small hint. You will usually find AMP on news sites. For example, if we check Punch newspaper, okay, no. You will see it on mobile phones. If you search for Punch newspaper, right, you should see, I don't think I can describe it here. I don't think I can describe it here unless I use a phone. Unless I use a phone would have been the best thing to use to describe AMP pages. But notwithstanding, AMP pages would help it makes it gives, it's kind of like gives you a lighter version of
a website.
A website, yes. And it's more, you have a lot of cache and all that. Just let me see if I can use the phone. Just hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, all right. It's going to be a little difficult to demonstrate. While I can see it on my phone, I don't know how I can show that to you. All right, good. So let me see. I don't know whether you guys can see this.
Let it go up a little bit.
Okay, just hold on. Let me see if I can share.
Okay.
If I can share the screen. Okay, just hold on 1 second. Okay, it's be quite difficult at the moment.
Okay.
It's going to be quite difficult at the moment, but AMP pages, it essentially just makes you have a much lighter version of the website. right, of your website. And the guest interaction will be much easier and much faster and all of that. Okay, so do we have questions?
Well, I don't have questions, but I will just continue the good work on the website, and probably later you check. When next you look at it, I'm sure you'll be impressed. Now
No,
I've seen the errors, and we know where to touch to do the touch.
All right. You are directly responsible for designing the website, Musket.
Say again.
You are directly responsible for designing the website.
Yes, I've not been the one handling this even since I came to, you know.
It's like it seems you came recently.
Yes.
Okay. All right, no problem. So possibly later I'll check with you and see how
no problem.
It's coming up.
No problem.
All right. So do we have other concerns or other issues that you guys want us to address? Mr. Peter, Madam Foluke, Musket, Mr. Oki.
And I would appreciate if somebody can ask questions regarding my site, so I can also have more, ideas of where to go to. And I would appreciate Madam Foluke or Mr. Peter to ask me questions regarding that.
Okay.
Because if you have not gone through this now, I wouldn't see all those things because I don't even check. Yes. Excuse me, please.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right. So our audience on Facebook, do we have any questions? All right. Okay. So part of what I collected was a couple of sample videos from a few hotels. Musket, okay, all right. I'm sure you're handling the situation. So I was just hoping I could just show some of these videos before we leave. Some of the sample videos.
Mr. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Peter, finally. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you, sir. Mr. Peter, are you there? Okay, all right. So while Mr. Peter is trying to get himself together, I thought I should just maybe look at, there's a video that I just saw online that was posted by, I think, Lagos Continental Hotel. I'm trying to find it. Okay, all right, good. It's just a very short and very brief 2-minute video. So I'll be sharing my screen now so that you guys can see it. Even use AY.
Hospitable greetings to our esteemed guests. Please be rest assured that Lagos Continental Hotel is prepared to cater for your needs. Do have a pleasant and memorable stay. Some modifications has been made on operations and service delivery in order to comply with various guidelines on hygiene, safety, and social distancing in line with industry best practice. Your safety and well-being and that of our colleagues remains our top priority right here at Lagos Continental Hotel. Warm welcome to you. The hotel team has undergone a basic certification on hygiene and safety measures to tackle the chain of COVID-19. We have also increased the frequency of our cleaning and decontamination of our public areas using hospital-grade disinfectant. Our guest rooms preventively sterilized for a minimum of 24 hours prior to another guest visit. Lagos Continental Hotel, maximum of 3 persons are allowed into the elevator at a time. And when you get here, please make sure you follow the instructions of our staff members and security personnel. Kindly note that the use of face mask within and outside the hotel is mandatory. We also ask that you respect social distancing and the floor demarcations. Please respect our policies and do not force exceptions on any of our staff members. Failure to do so puts everyone at risk. At Lagos Continental Hotel, we are 100% safety cautious. Few more measures have been put in place, and for more information, contact our front desk. And now, if there's anything you must come in here and live with, is the fact that Lagos Continental cares.
All right, so I saw this and I was actually impressed, right? It's also similar to what VCP did something similar, but VCP was more of an announcement of reopening, and they did not focus so much on the safety parts. You get there are a couple of other videos I've seen circulated in the internet from other hotels, like from Best Western and from a couple of other brands, both locally and internationally. So these are some of the things we can put in place. I was hoping that we would get something like unique problems that your hotel is facing so that we can dissect and look at some of the solutions, right, to that. For example, Musket at Genesis Sojourner, what kind of marketing challenges are you facing?
In terms of in the part of IT or in terms of normal marketing?
Well, at this point, I don't think it's going to be easy to separate IT too far from marketing, because all your guests now are now indoors and they're now more on their phones. So it's actually a unique opportunity for you to reach them. I know I actually worked with Genesis before in Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Genesis Group in Port Harcourt. Oh, you have power issues.
Yes. But they will soon change the light now. So.
All right. So I actually worked with you guys in Port Harcourt. Well, I'm not putting in place. You are taking care of. Does anybody else want to? Madam Foluke, can you? Yes. Shaw's Hotel, you're welcome. Shaw's Hotel, can you hear me? Okay, so while we are waiting for a response from Shaw's, okay, right. Shaw's Hotel, we are greeting. We like your nose mask. Okay, so do you want to make a comment? You want to ask a question? We like to hear your voice. So I know you are shy, but I'm also very shy.
She's on mute.
Yes, I've requested for the unmute. Just unmute yourself. It's fine.
Hi.
Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Two things at the same time. So I just
understand.
Yes, that is why I chose.
That's not nice. That's not nice. We've talked extensively about your market, your industry, and your particular hotel. In fact, I even prepared analysis of your hotel, Shaw's Hotel.
That's good.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
you.
Okay.
I'll get for my colleague. I know he joined earlier on.
Oh, okay. Well, if since you are here, maybe we can just quickly do a quick review of your hotel. All right. Okay. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see how good Shaw's Hotel is. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Okay. Here's the hotel, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You actually have a beautiful website, even though it's taking time to load. But in the interim, let's try and see how far. Shores.ng. Let's try and see. Was your site designed with WordPress? Do you know?
I didn't get that. I didn't hear you.
Your website, was it designed with WordPress?
I'm not sure, but we are working on
okay.
it.
All right, don't worry. Oh, that's okay. All right, no problem. So let's take a look. So it's beautiful, nice. I love it. It's very, very attractive, right? Your online chat, is it managed?
Not yet. It's not.
Okay. That's our first problem. So let's check whether your site was done with WordPress. Okay, so first problem, your site was done with WordPress. So which means I'm expecting that there will be a lot of default text. Let's go and find out. All right. Wow. Musket.
Yes, please.
Your colleague is here. Okay, so we have a lot of default text already, right? Even spidering from the home page.
I'm sure she said they are working on it. I'm sure they would see all this and correct
it's
that.
difficult. I've been monitoring Shaw's website for a while.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. I've been paying attention to plenty of hotel websites, and Shaw's is part of the hotels on my radar. So it has always been like this, trust me, I know. So you have this default text again. So you have news, Brazilian burger with egg, and then a whole bunch of default text in a language I cannot read. Live pictures from Shaw's Hotel. This is nice. This is nice, but I would have used this space much better. We even have some codes here, Seth. Amazing.
Unclosed code.
Unclosed codes.
Yes.
We don't have any business or
that's a
interest
mistake.
in this.
That can be corrected.
I'm taking down all this. Thank you so much.
See, let me just give you the small shortcut, right? Do not use WordPress because you have these kind of problems. All right, so we can see all kinds of repetitions, come on, let's face facts. There's hardly any listing, okay, maybe except for this, that can, okay, maybe this and then this. There's hardly any listing that a guest will see and would want to click and explore, you know, and move forward, right? Sorry, Shaw's Hotel, what's your name, please?
My name is Adidamola.
Adidamola. Oh, okay. Nice to meet you. My name is Mr. Nweke.
Nweke.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so again, when we were analyzing this site, we compared it to other websites. We compared it to Chesney Hotel. Okay, let's do Statement Hotel. We compared it to Statement Hotel. You can see the difference, right? Okay. Now in Statement Hotel, you have a much better use of the space, right? Take for instance, I saw some listing. Okay, it's not here. Take for instance, this first listing, right? This first listing tells us the name of the hotel. It tells us updated March 2020. It gives the guest a little bit of confidence, right? That that you are responsive to what is going on. I mean, to his touch points. You get. Now, you have reviews already here. You have some of the things that you'll be interested in, like some of his initial questions, like free Wi-Fi, like free breakfast, updated rooms, you know, just things. So if he looks at this listing, in an instant, some of his questions would already have been answered, right? He'll now be able to move from the, what's it called? The reach stage to the consideration stage. You get. But if he now sees a lot of default text, he will just jump and look for something a lot more reasonable and appealing. You get? So those are part of the things that we were reviewing. Those are part of the things that we're reviewing as part of ways to hold down guests, you know, and get their attention and all of that. You get? Because it's the entire experience, the entire guest experience starts from when he makes each contact with the hotel, right? Every time he makes a contact with the hotel, it leaves an impression in his mouth. If he searches for hotels in your market and he sees a very good listing, it makes a good impression. He clicks on it and then he has a very fast login experience, as in he doesn't have issues with page speed, right? It also adds to his experience, right? And also another touch point as well, you get. And then once you have someone or a group or a team that is responsive, he asks a question and he gets a response very quickly, it also adds to his guest experience, right? And then when he finally arrives at the hotel, please, Adidamola, you guys should not mess him up. You guys should treat him like VIP. You get, give him his room. I did not say you should go above board, but just do the basics and we will move on. And he will become the ambassador for your hotel for life. Now, I just ran a speed test on your hotel, shores.ng. Mr. Peter, we'll get back to you soon. I just ran a speed test on your site.
Okay.
Adidamola, can you see the analysis?
Oh.
Now, the speed test is just rated between 0 and 100%, right? With 0 being very poor and 100% being fantastic, right?
Yes.
I just did a very basic speed test and you can see your site scored 4%. 4% on mobile, which means anybody looking at your site from a mobile will have a very, very slow and absolutely horrible experience. Now, your desktop is a little bit better, 23%, but it's still also in a very bad place, in a red zone.
Still less
right?
than 30, yes.
It's less than, it's horrible. So if we compare it with something like, let's say, statementhotel.com, we would see something a whole lot more. I wish I could find Now you can see the reason why I told you that Shores is on my reader. Okay, Statement Hotel is not so fantastic because it's still average.
It's above
57.
average.
It's well above average, right? And for their mobile version, and the desktop version is well above average. You get. All right. So let's say if I can do. Let me see if I can steal a page under review. Now, this site is supposed to go live in the next few days, but I'm giving you guys a sneak peek. This is Chesney Hotel's new site. Scored about 63% already, well above average on the mobile version. And then you can see the desktop. Muskets, are you paying attention? This is key. You can see their desktop version is well into 93%. So which means if you are viewing the new site, the new Chesney Hotel website, right, that is about to be launched, you'll be having, in terms of page speed, you'll be getting like 93, a whooping 93% on desktop. So comparing the experience with the two sites now, with Shores Hotel 4% and Genesis Sojourner that we can't even find, and Madame Folake's site that we are still struggling with. You now begin to see areas where you have, certain losses. You get potential losses, potential guest losses. You get? So, all right, Shores Hotel, we could have done a few more analysis, but our time is fast spent, right? I don't know, is there time for us can we take one or two more questions real quick? Shores Hotel, do you have any quick questions before we'll wrap this up?
No, I don't.
Okay. Muskets, do you have any quick questions before we wrap this up? Okay, Madam Folake, I don't know if your connection is still good. Mr. Peter? All right, Mr. Peter, go ahead. Hello? All right. So I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time out of your very, 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 very busy schedule to attend this training, right? Now, like I introduced myself earlier, my name is Mr. Nweke, and I'm the director of Prime Royal Hospitality Limited, right? Now, my company focuses on selling hotel rooms, just simply put, right? Now, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with people coming around to your hotel and giving you proposals for designing websites, another separate quotation for optimizing, another separate quotation for this and that and that. Now, at Prime Royal, we don't waste time with all that. There's just only one guarantee we give you, and the guarantee is very simple, right? All you have to do is approve the partnership, and we will fund everything else from designing your website, upgrading it, having search engine optimization, setting up live chats, running paid ads, as in we will use our own money to pay for ads for your hotel. Okay, Mr. Peter is having operational challenges. Let's mute him. Mr. Peter, we can hear you. All right. Okay, so now again, the focus of my company is to sell your rooms. So we would use your website, your social media, would run paid ads. We use our money to run paid ads on your behalf and get everything done. Your only KPI that you have with us is that we will deliver. You will get people will actually walk into your hotel room and say, okay, I saw your ad somewhere and somebody reached me and I'm here. I want to lodge, right? And we do it all very smoothly and professionally. We have a team of persons who manage the support, the first level support and live chat of all of our hotels, right? Now, there's a whole team that manages all our live chat. So irrespective of the hotel that you work, if you sign with us, we would, and you approve, we will help you sort out all of the first level sites, first level support. Now, there are also cases where we travel to clients' location to bid for certain jobs. We do not transfer any of those costs to you. It's very key for you to understand that. We don't transfer any of those costs to you because we believe in the results and we believe in results only. So the only time you would have any liabilities is after the guest has lodged in your hotel and has stayed. So at this point, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this training. You will all get email recordings you get an email with a recording of this transaction, this webinar in the next few minutes. You can also check our channel on YouTube. We are going to be posting this video there, as well as all other videos. In fact, we're actually streaming live right now, right, on our YouTube channel. Just search for Prime Royal Hospitality Limited and you will see this video, right? So in the absence of any questions, do we have any more questions before we sign out? Musket, are you good? Musket is good. Shaw's Hotel, Adedamola, are you good? Mr. Peter has been having operational challenges. Madam Folake. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and your patience. If you have any questions, any support, any questions, any comments, anything you want to discuss with us, our contacts are on the screen and you can reach us anytime, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you very much, and I would like to wish you good luck.